Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wiseman Oracle and Tarot. And today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on your deepest wish and burning desire. So this should be a fun one, but also a juicy and meaningful one. If you find you enjoy, appreciate, or resonate with this reading, I invite you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. If you want to get to know more about me, my work, you can check out my website below alongside the Leadership Mastery Academy, which will soon have a schedule of events rolling out that you will be able to sign up to. All right, I will go ahead and place a picture up now with your 3 card piles to choose from today. As always, you are choosing from left to right. All right, card pile 1. So your deepest wish and burning desire. So as soon as I open this, even though I don't have many cards here that would speak to this directly, I read intuitively and it felt like you really just want to find your path, like your way. Which way is your way? You know, which way is your path? What are you to do? What are you to be? I feel like you really want to feel like you're on path or on purpose, or that sort of everything was worth it, or that you're in the right place or at the right time, or like everything's working out and unfolding as it should. There's something important for you in terms of how you operate and your own sense of security and place in this world, that you feel like you're on path. And I feel like if that's the way that you feel, it might very well be then that you, up until now, or at least recently, have not felt or been clear about what your path is, if you're on path, where to go, what to do from here. I do feel like it's going to have to do with some healing that's going on and probably very much underway. And so there might be a lack of clarity, certainty, or even confusion, and that you're not in that space yet, which might be frustrating to hear, but I'm sharing that there's a transmutation going on, a transformation of some kind that ultimately delivers you right where you want to go, which tells me, yes, you are right on path. But you know what? It could feel a little bit foggy or hazy right now, being that you are on this transformation, this transfiguration, or whatever is underway. I do feel like where this is leading you, though, is to a place of a lot of fertile growth, fertile soil, fertile abundance, even, meaning like, with whatever is going on, whatever growth is happening, healing is happening, transformation is happening, something is underway that's going to deliver you to some very fertile ground where you'll be able to experience significant abundance, or significantly more abundance. It's just very fertile ground for whatever wants to come through, for even what you want to do in terms of your own manifestations, what you want to create, what you want to do. And as this transformation is underway, or that you're going through it, that stuff is going to become clear for you as you go. Yeah, what do we get? Evolution. So we get the World card and evolution. And so I also feel like the energy too of the Wheel of Fortune, of like everything is in gear, things are moving right along, things are currently underway. Because you are growing, because you are evolving, things might not be 100% clear, but you can trust right where you're at. And it doesn't mean that you have to wait either. I feel like do what you can, or do what you would do right here where you are now, and allow that to be whatever it is, or speak for itself, right? And then maybe that expires or changes or shifts or transforms or transpires, and that's okay too. And whatever arises then, right? You can speak to that, do that, honor whatever is going on in your world then, and then it'll unfold from there. So it's not like you have to hold yourself back necessarily. It's almost like a 5-year-old might create something, do something, achieve something, experience something that does lead to what happens when they're 7 or 10 or 12 or 16 or 24 or 46, right? Or 54 and so on. And yet what they did at 5, while it led to what was at 7, more or less expires in some way because it has to grow, or there's some kind of expansion when they're 7. What, for example, enamors or enthralls a 5-year-old is different from what enamors or enthralls a 7-year-old. So it's like create or experience or whatever it is you want to be able to create, experience, achieve, craft in this moment as it is, knowing that it may change, knowing that it may lead to changes, that it doesn't have to be right, it just has to be right for right now, and that things will unfold and shift and change from here as they need to, right? As they will unfold all on their own. It's not something that has to be forced, because I feel like everything is right on path, right on track, and it ultimately leads you to where you want to go. So the evolution that's happening does lead you to, like, the world card. You could check out that meaning in the tarot. But it leads you right to where you want to go, but it's almost like things are still in motion. Things haven't quite settled. And I feel like you might always be in motion, right? A lot of us right now on Earth are humans who will be perpetually in growth, momentum, and motion for this lifetime, because we are in a period of accelerated growth and evolution as human beings. So things are meant to sort of not last for long here, you know? Things are meant to move and shift relatively quickly, or quicker than they used to be, or quicker than they used to change. Things are meant to sort of be in flux and flow and in limbo. We're meant to be more aligned with nature and its seasons, where, you know what, every single year produce or fruit, we'll say, is blossomed in whatever form in nature. And yet a lot of it, most of it in nature, dies by winter, or has a death of some form, whether it be hibernation or leaves falling from a tree or actual death, because bugs have very short lifespans, as an example, only to be rebirthed in spring. The point there is when we're more aligned with nature, things are always in flux, they're always in flow, they're always in season, and they're ever changing. They're not in a situation where they're fixed and anchored for too long. It doesn't mean that you can't have roots or find some stability in your life. More than likely, that's something that is important to you. And yet recognize, or at least give it permission or make it okay, that you might find that things shift or are in flux more than maybe you'd even prefer at times, or aren't fully perhaps an acceptance of, or just haven't realized that that is something that is taking place for most humans, or at least many humans on planet Earth right now. And it's not that you're different or that something is wrong. It's that that's just the way that it is. Now, I do feel like there has been some loss in your life. For some of you, this is going to be a loss of a romantic connection or romantic relationship, or just that kind of love that comes from a partnership or significant other or companion on your path. For some of you, it may not be a specific person, right? It just may be, you might feel like it's the missing piece, right? The missing puzzle piece. Now, for many of you, it's going to be that. Now, for some of you, it's going to be like just that. There was another message that came through and then it disappeared as I was talking about the other example. We'll just keep talking and see if it comes through again. But for many of you, this is a lost love, or, this is what it is. Like, it's not just like one particular partner. Again, it might just be more generalized to, companionship or having a significant other, but it could also just be that lack of love / fulfillment or meaning or satisfaction that we have in our lives. And I feel like that's what you're looking to reclaim, looking to experience again, looking to discover again, wondering what your path is to that. So like, you're wondering what your path is. Why? Because you're seeking that fulfillment, right? You're seeking sort of your 10 of cups. You're seeking your romantic love, your companion, your significant other, but that could, of course, be a metaphor for what you're seeking within yourself or within your life, really seeking that wholeness or that sense of completion. And it's almost like that hasn't landed yet. And it's because you're still searching for your right path. Like, what is it I'm meant to do? What is it that I'm meant to be here? What is it that I want? And it's saying there's things that are still in motion, but ultimately your growth, your transformation is going to lead you right where you want to go. You do get exactly what you want. You can trust that. You're right on path. You're right on par. This is all happening in divine timing. This leads you to a place of fertile ground where you can create, more or less manifest anything that you want from that space or that place. So it's trusting what's unfolding now, knowing it's delivering you to right where you want to go. And that a lot of you have a yearning for greater love in your life, greater expansion, greater connection, greater warmth, and recognizing you can seek that in areas even now within yourself, with the relationships that are in place now, with the experiences that are available to you now. It's not something you have to wait for. With that said, I think many of you are seeking out your path or the way or whatever in search of this lost love, this longing for love. So I think that's helpful in knowing, because it gives you the awareness of what it is that you truly deeply want the most, right? So what is your deepest wish and most burning desire, I think it's that long lost love. I think it's that it doesn't have to be necessarily love in the form of a romantic partner or a companion or significant other, but it could be the love for life, or just that feeling of love when you're in connection and community with others, that connection or love that you experience when your soul finds itself like really truly aligned, like feeling truly at home with itself, like your soul's home. I mean, that's really what this reading is, right? Your soul's home. Like, that's really the soul's deepest wish and burning desire. But, obviously each reading will be different. I feel like that ultimately what you're really searching for is that lost love. I feel like some of you have something, an opportunity in your life now, whether it's a romantic connection or another kind of opportunity that's presenting itself, that's giving you a chance at experiencing some of this lost love. So there is something there. Keep a lookout. Keep an eye out. This might be the opportunity for you. It may not be the end all be all opportunity. It may be a stepping stone, right? Or the first step on the ladder of this longer term fulfillment or this bigger dream. But I feel like for some of you, it's right here already in your life, in your field. Even if it's not in your life yet, it's in your field and it's landing. It's coming home, baby. So that is your deepest wish and burning desire, to find some clarity for your path, for yourself, for your future. Please know that it's on its way. It's underway. All is happening and right on time and right on path. And you can trust that and recognize this deeper fulfillment that you're seeking is some semblance of love in some form, and know that you can create that now in all the ways that you can, in the ways that are available now. And things will continue to unfold and be delivered and revealed to you as you go. All right, card pile 1, do let me know how this reading lands for you. Like, subscribe, press the bell icon, share your story in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, card pile 1. All right, card pile 2, your deepest wish and burning desire. So card pile 2, I feel like you really want something. I feel like you have that kind of energy of like, I just want this. I want this so bad. But I feel like it's not like a thing externally out here. It's more like, I just want to be this or feel this or connect with this. Like, I just want to know that part of myself, my authentic self. I just want to stand in my power. Not that you'd use those words, right? It'd be more like, I just want to experience this. I just want to be this or whatever. I feel like maybe you've been on the path for a while, on the journey for a while, and you've been kind of hanging your hat on something, waiting for something to happen. And it hasn't quite happened, hasn't quite unfolded, hasn't quite delivered. And you're like, what the heck, right? But I feel like what you're yearning for is a semblance of your own personal power that currently feels like it's lacking or missing, or that you can't fully contact it, or that you can't fully contact it regularly or consistently. I feel like you really want to connect with this deepest part of yourself that feels authentic, that feels true, that feels in alignment, that can see past the BS of life, that can really anchor in its own personal power and awareness, that is sort of its highest self or highest operating system, that it's able to sort of see more universally, act as its high self, true self, soul self, whatever. But I feel like you really are seeking some of your own personal power of being able to connect with that and not let other things sort of dictate your life. I feel like your card pile 2, a pile that has been, again, on the path for a while, we could say a seeker for a while, kind of seeking for the truth, seeking for what it is that you want. And I feel like you might not even be able to pinpoint it. I feel like it's more of a feeling, and I feel like it might be some kind of extension of or from or around your personal power, like really wanting to feel free, really wanting to feel powerful, really wanting to feel the things that maybe you haven't felt in a while, or that have sort of been elusive for you. And I feel like that's actually what it is. Like, whatever you are seeking is primarily a feeling and has something to do with your own personal power, and it has up until now been relatively elusive. And you're like, listen, what am I to do here? How do I step into this higher self? How do I step into this more universal self? How do I step into my greater wisdom? How do I act as such, right? Or be as such, or model as such, or embody as such? I really feel like you want this level of empowerment in terms of this yearning for it. That's who you're meant to be, what you're meant to do, how you're meant to show up and express and share and lead in the world. And yet, I feel like more often than not, or at least some of the time, or at least what you're most comfortable / familiar with, is this sense or semblance of more disempowerment. Maybe heavier energy, getting lost in old cycles, old patterns, old traumas, sort of getting lost or mired in old baggage or drama or issues or challenges or hardships or struggle, or these could show up in relationships, but also work, but also money, but also time, or feeling rushed or stressed or not enough time, not enough money, not enough this or that. I'm giving a lot of examples. It doesn't have to be all of those things. It'll probably at least be one of those things or more. But you can take that as an example and apply it to your own conditions and circumstances, where it's like, I'm ready for this. Like, I'm ready for this next step. I'm ready for the glow up, the up level. I'm ready for my crown. Like, I'm ready to be or feel or embody this person. And up until now, I haven't been able to do that. It's remained elusive to me for some reason, somehow, one way or the other. I really hope it's going to give you some advice here, because I'm sure it will. But I'm saying, like, it's telling you what your deepest wish and burning desire is. It's to be all that you are, your higher self, to be what you've worked toward, what you can feel or sense, know, recognize, but haven't quite contacted it well enough for it to really feel it, for it to really land, and for it to resonate long enough to actually feel different, to operate differently, to experience differently. Let's see what else is here. Let's see what else is here. Okay, so your personal power here, I know that's a part of this. Your deepest wish and burning desire. I feel like you have a lot of attachments built up in this old way, old reality, old world, old way of life. I feel like you might first ask yourself, how are you benefiting, or what are you gaining from continuing to participate in the old stories, the old ways? That's number one, is really seeing where you are gleaning something where you might think that you aren't, because at first glance, it looks like, well, there's nothing good for me there. That's toxic. That's terrible. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Right? But go deeper, maybe sit in meditation or contemplation, or have some support, do some journaling, or just look at it cleanly and honestly and transparently with yourself of, what are you actually gaining from this? There's something there that you're gaining. Otherwise you wouldn't be sticking around. Number one. Number two, I feel like there's fear of leaving behind what's comfortable and what's familiar. So it's like, yeah, I know this isn't good for me, but blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know this isn't exactly ideal, but blah, 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 blah. Maybe I can change it. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. It's like there's a lot of attachments to the old self, or to the, maybe we could say, lower vibrational self. I don't love low, high vibration. I'm using those as terms because I think it gives an idea to a hierarchy that doesn't exist, because we're always like this, we do have some kind of baseline, of course, but we are up and down. We are human beings that are going to have higher days and lower days, and higher emotions and lower emotions. And to kind of use that is relatively silly. And it's okay if you do use that, but that's just my personal belief system. With that said, it's like, it's like you seek to feel different, and yet in a lot of ways you're still acting the same, doing the same, being the same, right? So it's like you might endeavor, but how you're actually showing up is the old way, the old self, what's familiar, what you're comfortable with, what you already know, what it kind of gives me the energy of, now this isn't going to be the case for everybody, right? So as always, I think many of you already know as I'm saying this, number one. Number two, I'm going to give you some examples, the two that are showing up as like high profile kind of mainstay ones that are clear, but yours might be something smaller or more subtle or softer that might not be as obvious as these, but it'll still help you point to what your situations are. And there is a lingering message here, though, if we don't ever need to change anything too fast either. Like, healing is always happening, growth is always happening, movement is always happening. We don't have to force it. We can trust right where we are with the intention in mind, or the knowingness or the awareness of mind of where we really want to be or ultimately want to go, and we will be delivered there. Over time, we will be brought to a place over and over and over again when we're brought to, it's like a more and more necessary space to have to let go of things, i.e. greater rock bottoms, more or less, that eventually we will let go of. And it's not a warning. It's just like, you can let go whenever you want. You don't have to now. No changes have to take place. Like, sometimes there are practicalities, right? If it's like a toxic workplace. We haven't gotten to the two examples yet. We'll get there. And it's like, well, I make money, Errity. I can't just leave my job. Perfect. But what you can do is write on your vision board that you plan to leave your job, and actually start to do the work and research of, okay, do I want to go back to school? Do I want to learn a trade? What do I want to do in the meantime? This is just a means to an end until this, right? Starting to get practical and clear about where you're headed, what you're going to do in order to create the conditions so you can leave, right? So it doesn't have to be a toxic workplace, because that wasn't one of the two examples, but that's an example. Now, the two ones that were coming up were like, if you have a habit of, say, using or consuming herbs in some way. Hopefully you can receive that message for those of you who are 18 and up and know what I might be alluding to there. It kind of has that energy for some people where you're like, you got to get away from it. You can't do that all the time. You know that it's not good for you. You're losing motivation. It's kind of what you lean into or default to. You know what you want to do, and you know that there'd be better clarity or more motivation or passion or drive or something if you left that behind, but yet you still kind of lean on that and default to that. And that's sort of like your coping skill, your comfort zone, your self-soother, self-medicator, something like that. Another example might be a toxic relationship, or at least an unhealthy one, or one that just isn't fully honoring that next level, the glow up or whatever it is that you seek. And yet you're kind of like, oh yeah, but I have someone to help pay the bills, and I have a warm body to sleep with at night, and someone to watch movies with, and someone to sort of be able to go to with my concerns and problems in life. And so, do you see what I'm saying? How like we can want to be somewhere, want to feel different, and yet we're still attached to old things. And so we ultimately end up being in that place. So those are just two examples. These could be also inner patterns and experiences, which usually the outside ones are. So if we have a self-worth issue, we might stay in situations that people of higher self-worth would not stay in. If we have a history of abuse or trauma, we might stay in more abusive or traumatic situations or circumstances because that's what we're used to. And so we don't know any different or better. And so we stick around, right? So there are usually patterns within as well. Although it's clearer to see when we're looking outside of us at external situations. All of that to say that whatever your particular situations are, it's just saying there are attachments that are still here in the 3D that you're sort of connected to or haven't chosen to leave or change or let go of, and you don't have to, right? You can. This is giving you this awareness, but I feel like a lot of you are still pretty thick in that space where I don't feel like you're going to budge anytime. Well, you might budge soon. You might budge. There's some energetic shifting, but in terms of like some big declaration decision of, that's it, I'm leaving now. This is my arrival. I don't necessarily sense that energy. I feel like still kind of you're bringing awareness into it, but there's still some sort of, not excuses, but sort of that energy of, this is where I feel comfortable right now. This is where I want to be. This is where I've got to be, but I am going to make some plans and start moving toward where I really want to go, right? So you might be doing that. This is about moving into your personal power, stepping more in line with where you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to go, as opposed to sort of doing the old rote things, the old familiar things, the old hamster wheel things. Let's see what the energy is here. I do feel like clarity is going to come. Clarity, maybe some of you have been seeking for some kind of clarity or seeking for some kind of insight or direction or wisdom or guidance. I do feel like it's going to come for you, and that it's going to come soon, shortly, if it's not already here and you've had that call, and maybe that's why you're here. And now this is your affirmation and reassurance that yes, this is the thing to do. This is how to move forward. I do feel like something comes forward that is able to support you and or change your situation. And you might not see it as that right away, like, oh, this is going to change my whole life. But it might be a very clear ba-bing sign, like neon light kind of thing where you're like, got it. And you follow that, and ultimately, eventually it leads you to where you want to go. Your deepest wish, burning desire. Yeah, there is a positive outcome from this, right? There is something good that comes of all of this. You do end up where you want to go. You do find what you want to find, discover, uncover what you want to discover, uncover. I feel like you are a seeker and you've been doing some soul searching, and you really are looking for this bigger, higher ground, or this bigger, more powerful place, space, person within you. And it's like that it's on its way, obviously, because you wouldn't even be able to have that awareness if it wasn't there. Like you wouldn't even have that awareness if it wasn't already embodied at some level, in some way. So it's just a matter of right now, it feels like you're just bringing awareness to it, and which brings some kind of massaging, and it's gives them some awareness. It's giving a little bit of movement and some subtle movement, massaging. Sometimes that's enough. Let that be enough. All right, card pile 2. So your deepest wish and burning desire is really about finding, it's not your higher self, but it's more personal power, where you feel like you're the person that is the person you want to be. Like right now, I feel like in some ways you feel held back, or that things haven't changed, or the needle hasn't moved as much as you want it to move. And I'm curious for you card pile 2s, because this one is a little bit elusive or vague, and yet I know it's going to connect with the people who choose this pile. So I want to hear your story or circumstances and how these dots are connecting for you, because I think it would be helpful to be able to kind of touch base and match it up. Be like, oh, that's what the reading was trying to convey. So let me know if you feel comfortable sharing your details and circumstances. Something positive does come from this. Something positive does come through this. The things that you're seeking for does come. But right now, you're in a place of sort of just massaging this and letting it be and allowing change to happen and letting it happen as it needs to, and slow and steady kind of wins the race. But you do end up at that finish line. All right, card pile 2. I always appreciate being able to share a reading with you. I look forward to seeing you next time, and we'll see each other then. All right, card pile 3, your deepest wish and burning desire. So I'm feeling like you want to find more harmony in your life, more rhythm, more connection with nature, more connection with the rhythms of nature. This might very well be a slower pace for you, or more wholehearted or heart-connected pace for you. Something that is truer to sort of your spiritual nature, your connection to earth, your connection to Mother Earth, your connection to nature. I feel like you're really yearning to operate at a different level or in alignment with the whole, right? With nature itself, with, we could say, God, with life itself. There's a significant difference in pace for the modern man, especially in the Western world, than what is true in nature. And I feel like you're yearning at the heart to really be in greater honoring of your soul and service to your soul and service to this greater harmony with nature itself, with life itself. I feel like this warmth and nurturing and groundedness and tending to just feels very natural. It feels very earthy. We have the word harmony. We have the word patience. So there's something here about really getting into flow and into alignment with your more natural rhythms. It's not going to be the pace. It's not going to be the case for all of you that it's just about pace, like how quickly you're moving, or like, oh, you're working too quickly or moving too quickly. I feel like for many of you, I feel like that is the case, but it may not be the case for all of you that you're some sort of like workhorse or workaholic or hustle bustle or whatever. And yet you have a calling that is drawing you to something and you don't know what it is. And you're like, what is this? What is this calling? What am I feeling drawn to? I feel something, and what is it? I feel like it's to nurture your spirit. You really feel this deep yearning, burning desire, the deep wish is to nurture your spirit more. That's really what it is. And one way to do that, of course, would be living truer to the rhythms of nature, your most natural rhythms. But I feel like this might have some things to do with, like, here, let me give you some examples, because I think that'll help when we talk about nurturing your spirit, honoring your soul, living closer to nature, the rhythms of the whole, the earth. You could say the divine. Like, let's just say in the morning, you immediately get on the phone or working, maybe you're answering work emails, or you're on social media, you're texting, and you're just jumping right into electronics. The music's on, you're in the shower, and there might be this feeling of loss or regret or something of like, something's missing. It's not like this crazy, like something's wrong. There's a fire in the living room. It doesn't feel like crazy, like doesn't feel like that kind of panicky kind of thing, but it's like, something feels off about this, like something else is calling me. And it might be that you get up much more slowly, like literally you take 20 seconds to roll up on your bed and just sit there. And really take in your surroundings. Stand up, maybe take a couple of breaths, and then you're stretching, and maybe you find yourself doing some yoga. And just checking in, what's here and how do things feel? How does the body feel? What is it yearning for? What kind of movement is it yearning for? Where does it want to go? What does it want to do this morning? Oh, it wants fresh air. Okay, going outside. Getting some fresh air. Okay, that feels right. A little bit of sunshine too. Okay, taking a breath and then walking in. I see. What is it that it's yearning for in terms of food? How does it want to be fueled today? Banana or avocado or some tea. But just seeing what your body is calling for, what your soul is yearning for, what your rhythm is asking for. It's more so living slow enough, connected enough, slow enough to find connection or to maintain or sustain connection. Because it's almost like the quicker you move, or the more you get into hustle bustle, or you're jumping into the electronics or the routine, before you've had a chance to align, you're already sort of ahead of yourself, right? you're not out of alignment necessarily, but ahead of yourself, where if you start slowly and move in connection and maintain connection, like that's really where you're being called. So it's not necessarily a slower pace, although that might be prescribed here, right? Ultimately, eventually, that might be what's relevant here for you. But it's like how you can continue to maintain connection, or maintain connection now, and maintain connection now, and maintain connection now. And for many of you, it's not going to be jumping into electronics in the routine right away, right? That doesn't even feel right when I'm sharing it. Let's see, how does this want to be expressed? It's learning for yourself how you maintain connection through all parts and moments of your day. And where you're being called right now, or how you're being called, is to move toward a rhythm that is honoring more of that connection to be sustained and maintained throughout your day. It might require anchors throughout your day, because a lot of us work and we're not able to necessarily sort of just be in divine communion or connection all day. And we can, by the way, I'm not just talking about prayer and meditation. I just mean, are you here, right? Are you fully present, or are you on the hamster wheel? Are you on the mental chatter, So it's like learning for yourself. And how are you learning? How are you going to learn? I offered examples, but I feel like this is something for you to learn. And it's going to be based on that, when something feels off, not quite on point or anchored in or like settled or right. When you have that feeling, like the example I gave earlier, we get in the shower and you're like, You know what it reminds me of, actually? If you guys have seen the movie Home Alone, where they're on the plane and they're headed over to Paris, and then the mom's like, something's missing. I can't quite put my finger on it. And she's like, Kevin! It's kind of that energy where you're like, something's missing. That feeling, that yearning, you're being asked to return to connection. And more than likely, it will require some slowing down, but it's more just like living in alignment, or where you're being drawn to in the moment. Again, you will be guided, like that example I gave where you just sit up. And it's like, okay, it feels right just to breathe. And then it feels right just to stretch. Then it feels right to stand up. Then it feels right to get a breath of fresh air. Then it feels right to get some food. And what food am I being guided to, right? This isn't a mental exercise. This is more of a self and soul communion, right? We're talking about nurturing the spirit, nurturing the flow. We're talking about nurturing rhythm. We're talking about being down to earth, close to the earth, close to the body, and the body, fully present, fully in the moment, fully in the body, okay? And so that's where you're being drawn to right now, to the space of inner harmony, inner peace, inner freedom, which comes as a natural extension or byproduct of being present or in the moment or in full connection in your moments. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, I feel like there's a purification that wants to happen. It's going to require this sort of release or letting go of sort of old habits, old ways, and this doesn't feel like heart addictions necessarily, of like, there's some of that energy in the other readings, but for this one, it doesn't feel like you're like engaged in heart addictions. It just feels like routines aren't quite in full alignment or in order to support your highest self, your highest experience or potential, Things aren't quite in order or just right, the routines feel relevant, like maybe your bedtime routine, how are you preparing yourself for sleep or for bed? Again, are you on your phone? Are you watching shows? Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of these things. It's about your connection with yourself in the moment and where you're being guided. Are you being more guided to read a cozy book or light a candle before bed? Are you being guided to have a bath before bed? Are you being guided to step outside and watch the stars before bed? Or are you being guided to sit there on your phone, right? Or to watch television or whatever, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with any of these activities. It's asking, where are you actually being guided though, right? Are you fully here well enough in the moment to recognize if you're in it or not, right? Because what wants to happen is this purification so that you can really be in your whole self, right? Who you are, what you are. It's like creating a reflection in your life of who you are or where you want to be. It's like ultimately creating a life that feels good, that feels right, that feels aligned. Feeling a life that feels like you're in harmony, in peace, in flow, that you have that inner harmony, that inner space open at all times because you're living in alignment, you're living in connection. You're honoring what's true right here in this moment, and you're honoring it moment by moment by moment. And it doesn't have to be that it's different or spontaneous every day. Clearly, we know there are necessary, staples and having some everyday routines and some stability and some predictability So it just means that, you might have regular anchors like we opened with, where you anchor by stepping outside in the morning, you anchor by the bath at night, whatever your version of that is, because this is something that wants to be learned through for yourself. But ultimately, it's about shifting some habits, routines, and behaviors, changes, whatever, so that you can really live in that full alignment that you're seeking. Yeah, this is about coming home to yourself. There is something here, though, too, about a greater connection with nature, with earth, with your ancestors, with the dirt. I feel like you're going to find it as you shift up your flow to something that is more natural. And again, when we say natural, to me, in some ways, cases, that could imply not quite jumping on the electronics, not quite always being inside, not always having, meaning you're out in nature. That means you're taking a deep breath. That means you're following the flow and rhythm of your body, right? So I do feel like there's an earth element here. There's a nature element here. There's a connection element here. There's something here that's drawing you into your roots, into your soul. What else is here? We're talking about your deepest wish and burning desire. I feel like it's to live in harmony with your soul and live in greater harmony with your soul, with your spirit, and with nature. Especially nature, that's feeling key here, because I feel like as you do that, align yourself with the flow, with your body, with the rhythm of earth, with nature, the harmony of your soul, your spirit is going to be the natural, direct result of that. So that's your deepest wish and burning desire, to really live in harmony and in full alignment with your soul. All right, card pile 3, I'd love to hear your responses below. Do like, subscribe, share, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications in the future when new readings pop up. And with that, I bid you farewell.